Hello everyone, this is the ultimate guide of how to make your career mode more realistic. We have done all this before, made teams that are low overpowered, and how do we prevent that? How do we make the career mode more realistic? I'm gonna show you in this video of what you should stop doing now, and let's get right into it. So first of all, I wanna load my squads from the latest squad 2023, which can be found on the internet. I found it in one of the videos, and it allows me to have the latest squads. And now we just create a new career. I'll walk through what you should do in a new career. It's gonna be manager career. I'm not gonna talk about the player career of how it should be done. Okay, so I chose a team for our guide today for how to make the career mode more realistic, and here we go. So first of all, it doesn't matter for the name for now. I'm gonna play an ultimate, but you want to make the match difficulty as hard as possible so you don't win more than you lose, because in real life it is not like that you always win, so you want to make it as difficult as you want. I should make it 6 minutes, but I'm thinking of increasing it, because what I find with ultimate is that I get very often 0-0 score or just 1 goal score, which just shows how difficult it is, but I need more time. I experiment with that. Also, experimenting with difficulty is good by changing difficulty of FIFA at the end of the season, because at the end of the season, for example, I played on professional, then I found at the end of the season that my stats are a bit too high for that team. The best way to experience it is when you're playing with good teams and bad teams. Bad teams should not win with good teams, and at the end of the season you can analyze if you want to go higher or lower depending on your stats in that season, but it's a preference. If you want realistic, then go as high as possible. I found that legendary also is a bit too easy. I mean, in terms of it is easy to score a goal, so I just play ultimate. You can choose any currency. I'm gonna choose GBP, and then we want to disable the first transfer window. So now we're gonna press advance. Yes, I want to accept to invite. Why not? I will simulate a little bit of season to make sure that you know how to play. There it is. We are in our career mode, and first of all, about the training. And also, I need to say that La Liga has something called regulations, so you want to go and read the La Liga regulations just to stick as much as possible. And La Liga regulations are you have to have a release clause for all of your players that are playing, and also have 7 players on the pitch that have been home trained, so basically youth squad or people at least 3 years or 5 that have developed in your squad. So you wanna go first to your squad, and first of all, with a new team, you wanna discover your squad, because then you know what you're working with. I'm gonna tell how to manage the squad throughout the season, and I'm gonna give some good examples of how the season should be carried out, because that's what happens in realistic life, but I'm gonna show you how. First of all, you wanna go to your squad hub and look at financial situation. So I can see that here all of my players are settled and I don't need to worry about in terms of the contract. But wherever I see a release clause, because in La Liga you need to have a release clause for each player, then they can be released, which is really annoying, but also it shows that Realism, the real life player, has we have no impact on. So whoever has a release clause, I will just let them away, but whoever is not with a release clause, then I would just change the contract and double its value. So here is 4,400,000 value, so the release clause would be 200% of that price. So it would be 4,400,000 multiplied by 2, which is 8,800,000. And here the risk clause, as you can see, 480,000, a bit above. So you want it to be, yeah, like from 200 to 250 range is appropriate, what I can see from the prices already been on. But I'm not gonna do that now, you're gonna do that yourself. But from 200 to 250% release clause for each La Liga player. Now we're gonna speak about the training. So the training itself is here, and what you wanna do is first check out who's really good in your team. Think about training your players, because that's what it's all about, making your squad most elite and winning what's possible. So you want the best squad possible to increase your chances of winning. And you don't want to do something like this. You don't want one player to have 2 sessions a week. That is just getting a player higher statistics too quickly, and to prevent that, you just want the player to have only one session a week and no more, because that will just be unrealistic and get your stats of a player too high. One more rule is that the youth players that you're gonna take from the academy, they should be also looked at. I'll talk about it later on in this video. Okay, also one thing I forgot to tell about is that you need to always simulate your training. So once you selected your players, you just wanna press simulate all and never train it yourself. You can do that as many times as you want, just not for the same players. And there's also another thing to talk about, which is we need to check out if our squad, if the players are happy, make sure that the player is in a good form, is happy, is he injured, does he have good energy, and all that sort. So basically what you wanna do, if they have good form, put them in a squad. Better form wins, you know. And then if the person is unhappy, which you can check in the squad hub, and sort it. So the people that are unhappy, Navarro, Gaspar, Gyro, Adekani, and all that are actually unhappy. So let me take a second and I'll actually put them in a squad. It's really important to manage your team every single match, because that's what happens in real life and makes it more fun for the gameplay, because then you care about the players. Okay, so there it is, my list. We have Ledesma, Fali, Adekania, and Gyro, and the rest of them are just on a loan, so I don't really look at them. I don't look at free agents, because another rule I have is don't look at free agents. I don't look at the loans as well. I don't do loans because I just don't. Yeah, that is, you can add loans in your thing. It's fully customizable, but I'm just advising what you can do. So basically, I have a list of 4 players that are unhappy and they really wanna play my squad. So what I do is I go to my squad, I look at for Ledesma, so Ledesma is... Okay, I didn't find Ledesma yet, but I found Adekania. So Adekania needs to... I want him to play in the first squad because happiness wins over the players. The players that are good, you don't want them to be on the bench. People that are unhappy, basically, go to the first squad, because otherwise they'll be really sad and they will just leave you alone because you're not meeting their expectations of what you should do. You should care about that, because that is just how the life works. If you're not unhappy with the contract, you just go to the end of the team, and you want to prevent that. I'll come back with a team that is sorted, but what you wanna do is, first of all, manage a squad. Check who is important in the squad by checking the hub of the squad. Also, you can change the formation. Basically, at the beginning of the game, you want to make sure that your squad, you know the team, and you know what you're working with. Without knowing the team, you don't know what you play with. It's simple as that. So there's our lefty, and yeah, I will manage the squad and be back. Okay, so I think I have done a good job on picking the best players for the benches and reserves. Oh wait, there's one more, 76. But what you ideally want to do is just make sure that you get the best players in your starting 11, and then best players from reserves and from benches onto the next stage. You want this flow to be on. You want to check this every single time you end the match. And also what you wanna do is check the happiness. So unhappy people, Ledesma. Yeah, Ledesma is actually my goalkeeper. And yeah, he's already in the squad, so it doesn't matter. Now Fali. Fali is... Where's Fali? Fali is here, so he has to play in the first squad because he's an unhappy player, which is also better for me because I can see that he's a better rating, which is also good. Lopez, I can put you down because you're not as good, and that's how it basically works. You look at who's not happy, you put them there. Akania is somewhere here, I could see. Did I move him? Oh, I already moved him, so he's here. And Gyro. Gyro is another player, and Gyro, where are you? He's here. He also needs to play, so he's a left middle. Left middle is... he needs to play here. So now I just decide who doesn't play, so I decide for this guy to not play. And yeah, all my unhappy players are here, so yeah, I'm basically happy with this. So basically you wanna make sure that if people are in bad form, you put them down. If people are happy, you put them down as well to switch for unhappy people. And People who are injured are also not playing in the squad or are not in the benches. So good form, go to the squad. Unhappy, go to the squad. And good energy, also go to the squad. Because if you find that there's bad energy for the person you picked that has the good form or is unhappy, has really bad energy, you also can put them down. And it's just realism to show that if you're not in a form, you cannot go, because we just can see that currently somebody else is doing better than you, which is what happens in real life. If you have a good form, you can play. If you have a bad form, then not necessarily, and that's what happens. So just 6 points, remember. If good form go up, unhappy go up, good energy then go up as well, and bad form go down, happy go down, and injury go down. This also depends on the scenarios, so don't just stick to this. And also I can see that I have butterfly here, so it's just think about a bit with the squad, to be honest, and you have to really focus on this first, because knowing your team is the best thing to do. I'm gonna show you some certain scenarios of how it's done. So I'm not gonna play, but the rule on playing is basically you want every single away match to be simulated. It brings more realism by keeping the tables realistic and by creating chances, because not always you win, and sometimes those simulating matches are actually better than you actually playing the game. So sim match can be bad, sim match can be good, just like in real life they can play bad or good, and you know. So first of all, it doesn't say, okay, I'm home here so I can play, but I'm gonna simulate. Just to skip and tell you how I manage. So now I have another match and I go to my squad. And actually I got a really bad form after this, I don't know why it is that. So we go to squad hub. Unfortunately, after this match, for I don't know what reason, we have a poor form. So what we wanna do now is go to the form and put the bad form up. I don't know what the hell is going on, but they're in a really bad form. We wanna put all of those people down, and then we're not letting them play in the squad because they're in a bad form. That's how it works. And also I wanna write down the list of people who are not happy, and that is also scary to see who's happy and who's unhappy. It is really bad, as you can see. But bad form always wins. You don't wanna put those players in your squad. You wanna make sure the least amount of players in your squad are in a bad form, because then they perform bad in a match. And you also wanna make sure that people with a good form play in a match. So in here I cannot see good form at all, but of course this okay form is better than poor form. And also you need to look at player's happiness. So if he's unhappy, he also wants to play, but if he's a bad form, a poor form, and also he is like mid happy, then you also put him down, because form wins when it comes to happiness, because you want your squad to perform more. And if they're not in a bad form, then why would you let them even play? Just form wins more than morale. I'm not gonna do that because it's just gonna take long, but what I do is take those all players off, which is sad because they're actually good, but that's what happens in real life. If you're not good form, you have to switch, and you switch to those players. As you can see, I'm putting all the players, literally all the players that are with a bad form, down, because you don't want to let them play. This is how it is. It might seem crazy. I never seen, maybe it's because I done it with the simulation, but I never seen so many people with a poor form. So you wanna put them all down and just manage a squad. So basically what you wanna do now is, okay, all of the people are out, so now you just switch the positions around and all that, and I'm gonna do it in a second. But what you wanna do is completely ignore the players that are with bad form. And if you have situation with you don't have enough people for the actual squad, you unfortunately have to take the bad form, but the main objective is to put the players with bad form out. And look who's also unhappy. So people unhappy need to play the game, but not those people, because the form obviously is more than morale. This squad is so dramatic. I have even to put this very bad player here. You might want to switch formations as well around. There's so much with the squad that's going on, and right now I think it's overkilling me. Because so many people are unhappy and happy, but shows how realistic it is. You want basically to put those unhappy people, happy people, they should go down, and unhappy people should play, but also make sure they're in a good form basically. I'm not gonna do this because this is gonna take such a long time, but yes, between the matches, I always do that. You might believe it or not, but I always analyze the whole squad and plan it out. This will take too long for the video, but that's what I do each match that I did. So now I'm gonna simulate another one. Okay, and now we drone. So you basically do that every time. Now you go to your squad again. You wanna do this every time. And also don't forget about your training. But yeah, here is another match. And here is another squad to manage. So there is some people again that are out of form. I'm sure that people will be with good form when you actually play the games yourself. I don't know why they are so bad performing now. But yeah, you can also get their form up with training and all that. This is very bad with this team, but I think it's because I don't give them proper training now. You have to sort it out yourself throughout the career. So here is something that you see at the description of every single video. So here's some realistic rules, and also I have them on my paper. But first of all, we're gonna talk about how the match should be. What are the settings of the match? So first of all, you want to make sure the highest level difficulty here. Go to the user gameplay customization and CPU gameplay customization. You want them the same as me to make them more realistic. Okay, so let's start searching. This is 45, 49, 60. We have 55, 47, 43. We have 75. And we have also 35 here. This is to increase more injuries and management of your squad as well. And there's goalkeeper ability, so that is 60. Positioning is 55. And then 3 of them will be 50. So 1, 2, 3. And then we have another 55, another 55, and then we have 60. And then we do the same for another one. Oh wait, that is CPU gameplay. Okay, now we go back to user gameplay. It will be the same. 45, 49, 49, 60 here. I'll do it with a mouse to do it quickly. Is it quicker? No, I don't think so, it's fine. It's a bit quicker though, isn't it? Okay, so pass error is gonna be 55. Shot speed is gonna be 47. 43 for this, and then we have injury frequency 75. So now we're gonna have 35 severity. We're gonna have 55 for this, 55, no, 60 for this. We're gonna have 55 for this, 350s for this, 55 for this. We're gonna have another 55 for this, and a 60 for this. 55 for this and 65 for this. I mean 60 for this. This is the game settings you wanna play with. And now we talk about the summer windows. So, as it says, for the squad work out the average score. With that, I think that there is no limit on signing, but there will be limit of how much players can actually be forced to sell. Throughout the career, there'll be people asking for players, so you don't wanna be forced more than 2 cells, and only one can be done on deadline day. So basically, if you have 2 on deadline day, you cannot do it. You have basically 2 forced sales for. Yeah, you have it between September and January. You have 2 forced sales, and also you can sign as many players as you want, as long as 2 sales will be done. 2 forced sales. So basically, if someone is coming from a better club, you're gonna, of course, deal with selling the player, because what people usually do is they go to better squads if they have better offer. So if one player is better than your team, or some other team wants to take your player, you don't just reject the offer, you check it if the player itself would actually go there. This is realistic speculation as well. So if there is 2 forced players, then you can reject. So if you had 2 forced sells already, then you can reject the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, but you don't have to. You don't have to. If you want to sell, you can sell, but there has always to be 2 forced sells. Or if they don't ask, then you sell yourself, but first let them ask and then you sell. So how many signings can be? It doesn't matter as long as you do 2 forced sells or more. And then we have the winter window, so you can only have 1 forced sale, so that will be from January to summertime, and that is the most important time for most of the nations, so it will be really bad to force, so only 1 forced and as many signings as you want. You can do 1 or more sales, the same as the other one, but you want to make sure that you work out the average squad score, as signing a player with 2-player score of your average squad player score is not allowed. So basically, if you want to buy new players, you make sure that he's not 2 points higher than the average of your squad, and that is going to be explained later in the video. But what you want to make sure is not have 2 more than the average, because that will be that will gain your squad a lot of advantage, which is not good. The other thing we want to talk about is GTN. So we only search players for instructions and scouts. What you want to make sure is not get more star scouts than your squad, because then it is overpowered. They look for really good opportunities, and that's not how it works. The real, like the small clubs, do not actually have enough money to buy the scouts, and what you wanna do is get the least amount of scouts depending on your club. So regarding of the club, you're always gonna have 3 scouts, but if you have 2.5 star rating, you have kind of 4th scout, you can 5th scout is 3.5, and 6th scout is 4.5. So as long as you meet those expectations, you can have 4th and 6th scout if you want. And also, first has to be local, then second has to be local or near, so near your country, like border, and then third has to be near, like around your country, and then 4th has to be regional, so like Europe. If you're a Spanish team, you want to find in Europe somewhere, and then 5th and 6th are global, so you can find anywhere you want. You can sign players whatever you want, but it has to meet expectations, which I'll tell on later in the video. So there's also the transfer hub, and this is something that you will receive from others. So if you see here that there is a club that's offering better, then of course you're gonna make the player go to that club, because the better club has been actually asking for the player. I'm gonna sim a bit of those matches. Also, in the meantime, you wanna make sure that you attend the conferences that are appearing now, because praising the team in the conference is actually making your team perform better. Then I want to actually attend in it, and you can praise the player itself or the whole team itself, which is good for the team. And then also you have to meet the player conversation, so if they want to play, you need to let them play. This is all about managing the squad. Yeah, but in GTN, make sure that you only give those instructions to the scouts, and make sure this one is the amount of scouts you are getting is dependent on your star rating, as explained. Yeah, let's just go one more time here. So here I have some people that have really good form. Obviously you don't want this guy to play. He has bad form, meaning he will perform really bad in the match. Make sure that when you have a transfer hub offer, don't ignore it. You have to accept it if the club is better. How do you determine if the club is better? Look at your league. You compare if this league is better. You look at the internet. You can determine if the league is better by looking at the national league table and seeing which leagues are better. So for example, I am Cadiz and Elsha wants my player, then I have to give the player. If RCD Espanyol wants the player, I don't need to sell them the player, meaning it's not a forced, it's just I can reject. But if you're Real Madrid and somebody wants your player, then you need to check if it's first place or top 4. It has to be sold. top 4 of the league has to be sold. So to FC Barcelona, to our Valladolid, to Villarreal. If they ask me, I have to sell. That's what happens. I'm 17th in Cadiz. Let's say the Pro League is actually on the 10th place. My La Liga is 2nd, which means it's 9 higher than the Pro League. So what you wanna do, look at the club. For example, Club Brugge. To go from Pro League to La Liga, you need 9 actually 8 more places. So 8 places, that means that Cadiz is 17, so 17 minus 8 is gonna be 9, so anybody offering from 9 to 1 can actually go the league, because our Cadiz is on the 17th place in La Liga. We can actually 17 minus 8, and people 9 and below here can have our player, and we cannot talk about it. That's how it basically works if you wanna check if the club is better or not. Also, it matters if the club is in the Champions League or not. So better stage of the Champions League or better stage in the Europa League, it matters as well. So you have to check that out. If you're selling a player, no matter if it's forced or not forced, you have to consider its age, potential, form, morale, squad role, and contract. Some more transfer guidelines for you. So before we go to selling players, so ignore that. This is no. This is no. And now we check the overall rating. So I set plus minus league and also Champions League or not. Also points in difference in prestige. It matters like how many places you're away from the leagues. I explained it all. And also what place you are in this league, it also matters. So this overall score comparison between the teams is important for selling players to be forced. So if players sold in second year, then 5 plus overall, and if players sold in third year, then 3 plus overall. So it basically increases your chances of, the more the player is in the club, the less chance the squad has to actually give to the club. So now selling the players, so you wanna add this to the player's value, so initial value, and then do those conditions as mentioned here. So if aged from anywhere to 21, so add 60%, and then you add the youth, so 15%, and then you have the form and the morale and the squad role that is really important as well, and all that. So if less than 1 year, also minus 20%, as if you sell the player less than that, you'll have a fine for this as well, which happens in real life too. And also cannot sell the players if within 12 months. So if you do that, don't do it. So you need also to, also you have 3 offers per season, and after that you can reject as many as you want. So I changed that to 2 and 1. So you have 2 and 1 forced. 2 and 1 forced. And there's also play signing rules, but don't look at this. Let's search the player that I want. Yeah, let's get somebody in the championship. So let's get somebody in the championship. And now I need to look if I can actually buy the player. So first I need to scout him out, because without scouting out, I cannot actually see if I can buy the player or not buy the player. So I need to look at all the aspects. So he's playing in Suddersfield, and there's multiple aspects to be thinking about. So we do a little calculation. So if it's 0 or more at the end, then we have a realistic transfer. We can actually transfer this person to our Cadiz club. So there's a lot of factors to be taken in. Okay guys, so we first need to scout him out, and when we scout him out, then we actually know what we're dealing with. So let's pass, so that we have scouted player, and as soon as we have scouted the player, we can actually make some decision on the player. And yeah, he is 69 overall, so he's actually lower than our overall. If you go to FIFA, and if you go for teams, you can see that Cadiz has 75 overall, but the player we want is 69 overall. So it is 7 below. It is 7 below, not 7, 6. So you have 6 points, because the player you're getting is 6 less points than the overall of the club. So plus minus 1 for each of the club's overall and the person itself and the player. And then the other one, there's multiple points for this to be a realistic transfer. So if you get 0 or above, then you can actually buy the player. So far we have 6, which means we're on good track. So okay, now minus 0.5 for every overall player can grow. So basically we go to FIFA, we go to players, Rolando Arol. Wait, I forgot. So basically he is 70, but has potential 77. So it can grow 2 points above. So what we wanna do is actually go here to our calculator. And where's our calculator, bro? Okay, so 6 minus 2 points because it can grow 2 above our overall. So that is just 4 points now. So we have 4 points. So another point. Actually, it's minus 0.5. So minus 0.5 multiplied by 2 is 1. That is 5 points. So 6 minus 1 is 5 points. So minus 0.5 for every overall player can grow above the club's overall. So it's 2 overall. So minus 0.5 for each. So 1. So 6 minus 1 is 5. I hope you get me, guys. Sorry if this is misleading you or something, but I hope you're actually understanding something. And then we have a player going to better club. So now is player going to a better club? Now it is plus minus 1 overall. So you look at the overall of the club, which is in this case Cadiz. So we go to teams, we go to Cadiz, and we see that it's 71. No, it's actually 75 in FIFA 19. 23. We look at the current ones. 75 overall, and the other one is 69. So it is not better, and therefore we can have plus 5. Yeah, plus 6 because it's a better club, much better club. So it's good. And then domestic and international prestige. What's that mean? On FIFA you have something called international prestige and domestic prestige. So we duplicate it. We go to the team called Huddersfield again. And now we compare the prestige and domestic prestige. So both of them have one domestic prestige, I mean international, and then domestic prestige is better for Huddersfield, so unfortunately we lose 2 points here because it's 6 minus 4 is 2. So we lose 2 points, we have 9 points. Another point is he alongside his people? So for every 3 English players at your club, wait, what's his nationality first? First you check his nationality, and by checking his nationality, he is English. So now we look at our squad hub and we check if he's around like any of English people. For every 3 people you add 1. I don't see any English people here so far. So there is nothing about that. We can't actually plus 1. Also, is this his old club? We need to search it up. But if you search it up and you find out that he's in the old club, you plus 2 because he's coming back. He has more chance of coming back than being in new clubs. No, he wasn't actually. Yeah, I can't see anything. I don't think he was in Cadiz. And now loyalty. Minus 1 for each year that he has played at the club. You can go down as far down as you can and you check the player itself. So Rolando Arons, he's still with the club. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 8 years. That is really bad. So let's check. Okay, he's not 10 years. He's 9 years. Okay, so he's 9 years at the club. Oh, he played at Newcastle. Okay, that is really good. And you can also check with Sophie where he played at Cadiz, but I don't think so. He's only playing in like English leagues. So -9 is 0. He's really loyal to his club, but he's willing to go so far. And then we have home bonus. Is he coming back same nationality as players in the club? So no, it is not, because he's English and he's going to Spain. If English was going to English, it would be +2. But because it is not, he's going from England to Spain, it is not +2. And now, is he going to be in a better league? Also, uh, if it's in the region, then it's +2. If it's not in the region, -1. So it's in the region, we plus the 2. So it's in the Europe. Europe, England and Spain are in the Europe. So he can actually be. He can actually be in my club, +-2. So far he can be in my club, which is amazing. And competitions, so is Huddersfield any like Europa League or Champions League? So +-1 for Europa League and +-3 points for Champions League if you or them are in a Europa or Champions League. And you check that and you +-1, but I don't think they are, and we are either, so 0. And past prime bonus, so is he 30 or older? He's 27, as I can see. He's not 30 or older, so therefore there will be no. So it's +1 for every year older than 30 years. So is he if he's 32, it would be +2, and so on. So then the money comes in. I don't need to do that, because I can see that my transfer is valid, and I can actually buy the player. I can think about the contracts now, which is the next topic. And yeah, with that you calculate that the transfer is valid because the value you found at the end is more than 0, and is 0 or more than 0, so it's 2, so we can do a transfer. But you see, nearly the loyalty of the player has nearly killed us, and we nearly could not buy the player. You have to just check if the transfer is valid, which makes it more realistic for the gameplay. Let's say the value would be -2. We can pay 20% extra wage for the player, so this is +1 point if we pay 20% extra wage, so that's 1 point. And then we can have +2, so another point, if we also double the sign bonus and give 20% extra wage. So that's 2 things you have to do to gain for 2 points. And another point for doing 20% extra wage, doing double sign bonus, and adding a release clause, so that is extra 3 points. So let's say you're on -3 points, then you can add 3 points to have 0 points, which could be just enough to get your player in. And that is about the clubs. The clubs that have money can do more than the clubs which do not have. And then, is the guy transfer listed? No, he is not transfer listed, and therefore we do not +2. If he's transfer listed, we also +2. And this is our overall score, which is also 2. But yeah, this is also, if you have the money, you can also do something about the score. And now the contract itself. If I want my person to be a prospect, a sporadic, a rotation, or important or crucial, all of those have values. But you also have one more rule. Here you have, regarding salaries, you have rules. So each season give 120% wage for your best players. So the best player in your squad has to receive 120% each season. More wage. No one can be signed for more than the best player in the club unless they have better statistics. Then you have to give them 10% more than the best player for each point that the player has. So if the better player has rating 89 and our player 84, then it's 5 points higher, so over 50% more for our new best player. And also you have to give a realistic pay, so feel like how would you place in your situation. Don't be lenient, just be strict about it. And then players from lower divisions must have 50% boost of the wage when signing. So people from lower divisions, the people that you sign, are probably having really low wages, so you want to just give them a 50% boost. And if they're asking for a release clause, just give it to them, you can't reject it. And for new contracts, no less than 30% of the salary boost for the player. 30 plus, signed for any offer agreed on. So whatever the offer is, it doesn't matter on this Doesn't matter on these. It matters whatever you negotiate. It doesn't matter on these rules now, because there is a high risk the player will retire, or something will happen. And no signing from teams better than you, and give players appropriate kit signings after that. Only use FIFA game agent to find good players. Okay, so how do signing bonuses work? So let's say that the wage you're offering is 3,000, and this depends. So if his prospect, you multiply by 1. If he's sporadic, multiply by 2. If his rotation, multiply by 3. If he's important, multiply by 4. And then crucial, multiply by 5. Then you multiply that by the number of years. So if you want it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And that is the signing bonus. And also the wage that we're starting with can be reduced if the player has been relegated in the last season. So you need to keep track of who's relegated or not. And also you need to make sure if his transfer listed also minus 20% and minus 10% for 32 years old plus for each of the year that is going on. And also if the player came from a poor country, you have to give him a lower wage. It's just how it works in real life. If you can't really get that much money, depends on, for example, if you're from China and coming here, you need to pay a lot of money into Europe because they're earning a lot more money there. And also for the youth players, you can only promote 3 players a year and have maximum of 8 prospects in youth academy, have 4 minimum for every position, only with potential lower or team overall equal or lower, and the exception is at 75 or lower, and for the greater teams, if the potential of the youth player is more than 75 by 1 to 3 points, it's 50% chance that you're gonna get the player, 4 to 6 points 25%, 7 to 9 points 5%, and 10 plus points 1%. So this is just chance using the spinning wheel or whatever you're using. So if you hire a scout and if you actually look for the players, then we start setting up a network and we make them look in, I don't know, Spain. Yeah, we're gonna make them search for 3 months and we're gonna make them come back later. Okay, so here's after 3 months. So now we can look at the scout report and we can see some. So here's potential 79, it's more than 75, and therefore if it's 4 above, it's 25% chance that you're gonna get that player. And for example here 85, so 85 is just 10 or more, so this is 1% you're gonna get him. This is really hard to get youth players, so if you get them, it's also hard. So let's sign this player, and I'm gonna show you, for example, how hard it is. Now I can promote him, and when I promote him, I have to write down on paper that it is my youth, because what happens every year, a probability from 1 to 6, and whatever number comes from 1 to 6, that's how much I can train the player by. The player now 43. Yeah, let's say I got a 6. That means I can get my player to 49 by the end of season 2019. Then if I get another 6, I can then get him to from 49 to 55, and then from 55 to 61, from 61 to 67, and so on. It is really hard for you to get a great potential of the player. It is just making sure that you don't get very good players. So in 5 years, the maximum to could go by is by 30. So by the time he's 21, he's gonna have 73. That is already big. So yeah, as long as you can get those 6s on a dice or whatever probability, then that's how the player's rating will go up. And there is some more things. As we said, it is very OP and we need to nerf that. So sign youngsters with low scores and any age. So any age, but with low scores as said. So you can train them, but with following rules. Use weighing of how much the player can go in score by spinning away from 1 to 6, or from 1 to 4. That 1 to 4 for the window. So each window 1 to 4 or 1 to 6 for each season. You decide. I think 1 to 6 is a reasonable thing each season. This is so it doesn't overpower and makes the simulation more realistic. So that is of course what we aim to achieve. and the maximum of 3 young players can be added to each squad each season. And this is the general rules of my game. So at least 12 of your main 18 players must be same nationality as your club. Player in great form must be played even if their overall is lower. And the first transfer window must not be used at all. Maximum of 1 session a week per player, like said. Playing ultimate level, and then realistic gameplay needs to be followed. La Liga regulations have to be followed in terms of how many players, release clauses and all that, and the way matches always simulated. And this is it for the video. I hope you have a better career mode from now, and see you later.